YouTube, man? It's been a minute. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm in the middle of a project, and that project is I moved a lot of places in my life, right? But I'm contemplating on maybe moving to Austin, Texas. So I dedicated a week out of my time to go ahead and say, hey, I'm gonna check this place out, make sure it's great. We're going all over it, making sure that it'll be the right move for us. So that's what I'm doing now. Great city, by the way. But I got a list of names here, and I'm gonna call these names out, and I want you to think for a second what these names have in common. Albert Einstein, Beethoven, Tom Cruise, Ernest Hemingway, Henry Ford, Bill Gates, Howard Hughes, Ted Turner, Napoleon, Michael Jordan, Bill Cosby, Will Smith. Now think for a second, what do these men have in common? Now some of you may say these men were all successful when they were known, but there's something else that I'm looking for. All of these men had ADD, ADHD. Now, the reason why I'm going to talk about that today is this. I don't want to call it a condition. I think it's a gift myself. But this situation has put a lot of people in a very bad predicament. I honestly think that ADD kids and so-called regular kids should go to two different institutions, should go to two different schools. And the reason why I say that is because ADD kids, ADHD kids do not learn the same way as other kids. Like when I first started schooling, the teacher said, hey, this kid is gifted. We want to put this guy in honor classes and things of this nature. And at that time, my mom wasn't making enough money, so she didn't do it. But then later on in school, my grades weren't going as great. And it wasn't because I couldn't learn the information. It was because I was so distracted and my mind was on so many other different things that I didn't pay attention. But this condition right now may be preventing your success. And some of you may say, well, why? You could be in a household where the other mate doesn't understand your condition, and that can cause problems. You see, I didn't find out I had my condition until 30. And I don't even say condition, but I just don't have another word for it. So just go with that right now. Until 30 years old. But then I found out it's a so-called disease of ideas. Ideas aren't necessarily bad because some people don't have them. But they're bad when you can't finish one. So I would go off the limb and say this. A lot of you guys who are watching my channel right now have ADD. Because one thing I've learned is I've had the ability to attract other people to me by me having ADD, ADHD. Do you think you have it? And if so, do you think you have it? Are you doing anything about it? Or are you to the point where you're saying, hey, I can handle this thing. I've lived this long without it, with it, whatever, so I can be okay. But by living so long with this so-called condition, is it hurting you in life or is it making you excel in life? Let's just take some time and let's talk about that today, because we know by the names I've given you today that it isn't a so-called condition that can stop you from success, because some of these men that I've named are some of the most successful men in history. So you can benefit from it. So let's start a conversation or something of this nature. If you have ADD or ADHD, how do you and your spouse, who may be a non-ADD person, get along in a household? How do you make it work for you? How have you made ADD, ADHD, or dyslexia, or any other learning so-called disability, how have you made this work in your life? This is the time to vent. This is the time to talk about it. You may know someone else that has a condition or whatever. Or is it preventing you? Let's just start an open debate about this. So that's all I have, guys. I need to get back to work here. Thank you for listening, and that's all I have today. If this is your first time watching the channel, please subscribe, tell your friends about us, and until next time, guys, signing off.